everyone. Well, I'm really excited to be here today, and thank you very much for the invitation. I'm going to present to you about CCIVS, so the Coordinating Committee for International Voluntary Service, about youth mobility and environmental sustainability, very specifically. We actually have a specific area on our website which talks about this, which is ccivs.org, IBIS for climate justice. And I'll be presenting in different blocks. So first of all, I'll give you a bit of an introduction to what International Voluntary Service is. Then I'll be sharing a bit about CCIVS activities, because we actually coordinate activities for our members. And then a bit about our impact measurements, our online tools, and international mobilities by our members, and a what's next section. And what I'll do is I'll actually have questions after the blocks. So feel free to ask any questions when the panel questions comes up. If you don't have any at that time, don't worry, we can take them at the end. There'll also be a time, hopefully, at the end for that. So the presentation is going to be a bit of mix of me speaking and videos, because there's a few videos I'd like you to see, because it gives you a better idea of what we do. So we will move forward. Some of you may have heard of CCIVS before. We've been working since 1920 on projects, and many of them have been environmental projects. As an activist movement, our members have participated in direct actions all around the world, and specifically for climate justice. It really depends on what's going on in the world at that time, what they're focusing on. And at this time, there are many, many projects focusing around environmental sustainability. So we were created, although the movement is 100 years old, we were created in 1948 under the aegis of UNESCO to coordinate the international voluntary service movement. But in 1920, basically, international voluntary service was born. It was born after the First World War and through a reconstruction of a village in France. And the idea was that people could come together to work together in order to overcome their hate and prejudice. And through a common tool, which is the work, start to learn from each other and arrive to some form of mutual respect, friendship, exchange and cooperation. And this first work camp was organized by Service Civil International, by Pierre Serrasol. And then from this first point onwards, in 1920, it really moved on and developed throughout the years. And throughout many years, now today, for example, you can see we have 79 countries, 188 organizations, and more or less 5,000 short and long-term projects which take place every year. And we're looking around 30,000 volunteers on a normal year, obviously not in the last couple of COVID years. So it really is a global network, and it works on exchange basis. So you have a sending organization, a hosting organization, and you have volunteers which in any case are working on a day-to-day basis in the grassroots organizations where they're based around the world, and volunteers that can come and join them, or young people from those communities that can go out. I say young people, and in fact, International Voluntary Service is open to all those who wish to join, regardless of their age, although a lot of the time the actions also focus on engaging young people. So I wanted to share a bit what environmental sustainability is for CCIVS. And what I can do is share with you something from our new strategic plan. It's going to be voted on in our General Assembly in November. But at the moment, this is kind of how we see it. So I'll read it to you. The Sustainable Development Goals are a good framework to show how international voluntary service projects contribute to the global agenda for a sustainable world. Yet CCIVS adopts a more radical and holistic approach that acknowledges and integrates our interdependent existence based on a peaceful cohabitation model with other species and within the planet's limits. IBIS projects support the social, cultural, economic and ecological transition that is needed to build a regenerative and reconciliatory world that promotes a circular, inclusive economic model based on global, social and climate justice. So essentially, our role as CCIVS is to raise awareness, to educate, and to put into place practical work on a grassroots level. As I've said to you before, our members are grassroots organisations based all around the world. They're all independent, and they decide to make part of CCIVS so we can work together in order to achieve our goals. So I want to share with you a bit about the international mobilities which are coordinated by CCIVS. I'm going to share two of the main big projects that we've had in the last couple of years, and one of which is still ongoing. So that's the Soil for Life project. It's a project which is managed by Legambiente. It's CCIVS member, and it's one of the biggest environmental organizations in Europe. It's co-funded by the LIFE program, and it's also, for the action that we organize, the training co-funded by the EYF, the Council of Europe, for the soil training. And as part of this project, CCIVS was charged with the whole part related to youth mobility. So we organized a training on soil conservation and management, and also we developed a participative manifesto on soil, which I'll share with you shortly. And we we supported the implementation of local actions, especially in Europe, by our member organizations, focusing on environmental sustainability, on soil. And there'll be a final conference which we will be implementing towards the end of the year. So I'm just going to share with you a little video that shows what took place during the mobility.
The state of soils are really worrying all the world because of the excessive use of intensive agriculture, with excessive plowing, use of chemicals, use of heavy machinery, also because of climate change that make it more vulnerable to degradation.
I wasn't aware how important soil was for climate change and the impact soil and the right way of managing soil can have on the climate. So it's really nice to come away with some personal things I can go away and do at home, but also then professionally I've got the opportunity to work with youth projects, but also with the farming industry. For many people, they are working in institutions and they feel very drawn to this through the research and scientific approach, but to really give them the chance to put their hands in the soil and do the simplest of techniques that they can either show to other people or start in their own homes or start in their own projects. The compost making, mulching, and just the availability of these possibilities to really open that up for them.
I have a home project which deals with practical restoration of land. On the other hand, I work in consultancy in environment. I will now be able as well to pass this message to others, and probably they will come to you for additional and more expertise information.
In the different sessions, we've been exploring urban strategies for soil regeneration or soil conservation. We've also looked at rural settings, so strategies for farming, soil building techniques. Yesterday, we looked at natural regeneration. We went out, we've been exploring those patterns and learning how to use those patterns and imitate them or mimic them to create soil and improve soil and capture carbon in our soils.
I was really impressed about the knowledge about the natural regeneration process and how the soil has a big part in it.
A wider view is yes, but also international cooperation. I mean, the future is in international cooperation. If we're going to save the planet, we have to do it as one human community.
The one word that's coming into my mind is inspiration. Not just think about it and do small things, but really get it started in a way. Yeah, inspiration.
Sorry. So that was a video of the training that we did, and you can see there as well, it's very multi-generational training. And the project of that mobility was the Soil for Life manifesto. And this manifesto you will learn about in this next video.
Healthy living soil is not an option. It is essential for life to thrive. In recent human history, quality and care of soil has been largely ignored and misunderstood. Recently, governments have begun to agree on water and air pollution regulation, while soil remains a sensitive subject. 33% of the world's soil is degraded. There is an excessive use of intensive agriculture, and climate change is making the soil more vulnerable to degradation. Soil is where 95% of all our food grows. Healthy, biodiverse soil means healthy food and healthy people. Healthy soils are not only the foundation of food, they are the main source of fuel, fiber, and medical products. They are also essential to all ecosystems, playing a key role in the carbon cycle, storing and filtering water, and improving resilience to floods and droughts. Soil health is directly related to human survival and well-being. The vital role that healthy living soil plays in our ecosystem needs to urgently be recognized, protected, and restored. It is life for the future generation. We must come together to protect and save it, to preserve not just humankind, all life on Earth.
So there you could see the call to join the Soil Manifesto. And if you go to our webpage, ccivs.org Soil Manifesto, you can find the manifesto, which I encourage you to read in more details than what was explained in the video. We have it translated into 10 different languages. This took place with the support of online volunteers. We had over 100 volunteers sign up to support us with the translation. 18 volunteers finally took part in the translation process. So we're privileged to have all of these different languages as a support, and we currently have the manifesto open to signatories, and we will be presenting it, as I said, towards the end of the year in a conference that we're organising, and we'd like to present it to the UN bodies, specifically the FAO, the UNESCO, and also, of course, to the European bodies, such as the Executive Agency and the Council of Europe. So another mobility that I'd like to share with you is IBIS for Climate Justice. Don't just say it, do it. So this is another project which was co-funded by the Erasmus Plus program. It focused on revalorizing traditional and alternative techniques and raising awareness about the negative effects of unsustainable food production and how this contributes to climate change. And it was really a case of wanting to bring expertise to our member organizations and for our member organizations to share their expertise. And it was more a case of, quite often it's very difficult to access trainings, or the trainings are very expensive if you look at permaculture trainings or that kind of thing. So we wanted to bring that to our members, and we also wanted them to be able to share what they knew, their own knowledge. So it was a global project. And it was a project in which we worked with universities. So in Argentina, with Santa Fe for bioconstruction, in the US with Champaign, Illinois for impact measurements. And we also worked with experts in the field of permaculture and sustainable food production coming from Oroville and from other projects as well. And you can see here, we had 30 partners coming from 4 regions. I'll let you read the countries there. And the different actions were a kick-off conference, which took place in UNESCO, inviting representatives from different international bodies, talk about the transformational power of international voluntary service for climate justice and freedom of movement. Then we had a workshop on bioconstruction, which took place in Ecuador, a workshop on sustainable food production in India, and then there were follow-up actions which took place in local communities in 28 countries around the world. There was then a follow-up system with online and offline learning. So the experts followed up with the participants of the training courses for 9 months on one-to-one level. And we also built online learning courses, and we did impact measurements. And here you've got a couple of images showing the trainings to you. And then I wanted to share just a couple of camp cards, one example from each region. So this is from Sri Lanka, where their local action was focusing on revalorizing traditional farming and construction techniques. In Africa, in Nigeria, they did a project on bioconstruction. In Latin America, in Argentina, community gardens working for a more sustainable life. And in Europe, one of the examples is from CCIVS Bulgaria, and it's a permaculture education program in a nature school. I just wondered now if there was any questions at this point about these projects.
Sorry, Vicky, I think we can go ahead. I don't see any hands raised, and then maybe we can keep them for the end if there is anything to ask.
So, yeah, okay, great, thank you, Lan. So just now to show you a bit about the impact measurement we did. So we invited Francesco Volpini, who was a PhD student from the University of Illinois. You can read the full results on our website, on our resources section. And the impact assessment was based on 30 local actions in 20 countries and 4 regions. And here we show a bit the average distance travelled. We can see the majority was by plane, although there was a percentage by rail and by bus or tramway. And the participants in the climate justice campaign actually did report significant differences in their general understanding of issues related to global warming and climate justice after having participated in the local actions and in the activities organised by CCIVS. So after the projects, 80% of the respondents said that they participated more in voluntary service actions. So 80% participated more in actions after their project, and 72% spent more time promoting climate justice than what they had done previously. And then we asked the volunteers at the beginning what their rankings of the SDGs were in priorities. And you can see ranking number 1 in the beginning was quality education. And then afterwards, they ranked them differently. So they put climate action as number 1, with 51% replying, whereas before it was at 36%. So we can really see how these projects contributed to the learning of the young people and the people that participated in all of these projects by actively doing something, because we believe you can read about things, you can follow courses and this kind of thing, but it really is through putting your hands on, having hands-on actions that can concretely lead you to change. Here we have some examples of online learning that we do as well. So as I said, it was supported. Once they had the training, there was one-to-one support, and then there was also the online tools which were created. And these are open to any person that wishes to sign up and to join them. You can go onto our CCIVS iLearn site. Also follow these courses. There's one on everything gardens and another one on the basics of bioconstruction. And in addition to this, we have toolkits and reference tools. So if you go onto our resource pages, you'll find a soil management toolkit, a sustainable production toolkit, the impact assessment reports, the reports on the trainings that we did as well. Yeah, and there's much information as well about bioconstruction. I put other questions there, but I guess we can leave that one for the end as well. And now I want to talk to you a bit more about the international mobilities which are coordinated by our members. So International Voluntary Service, there's essentially what we do is work camps and mid and long-term volunteering programs. So a work camp is generally a project which takes place between 2 and 3 weeks. And a mid and long-term volunteering projects can be anything between 3 months to 1 year. And essentially the idea is that you bring together a group of people to work together on a common action. So here you can see some examples of projects around the world, from Costa Rica, from South Africa, Sweden, Germany, Peru. And as we said before, there's 5,000 projects that take place every year. So this is just a snapshot. And in order for you to see a bit more what our members do, I have a couple of videos for you. It's in 3 different slides as they've been taken from another video. Just let you watch this. Yep, so as you can see from these videos, it's really a connection between volunteers with the local communities, with the host organizations where they participate. And there's the elements of working together, doing cleanups, planting trees, working on, for example, it was spoken about earlier, the eco-villages. There's also partnerships with eco-villages. Some of our members also have these kind of centers which focus on environmental actions. And so everyone comes together and works together for that project. And there's also the aspect of cultural, getting to know the cultural aspect of the country and living together, participating, having in the time free. So these are the kind of projects that can take place in a normal year, but in the last couple of years, as it's been a bit abnormal, we have moved to an online format for some of our actions. So of course, our members on a day-to-day basis, they continue doing what they can on a local level because they work in any case with people in the areas where they're installed and they have actions to do every single day. But in terms of international mobility, as they couldn't take place, then things went online. And online, there was organized virtual camps, and there was a Padlet where you could go on and you could select the camp that you wanted to join, and you could join for free to many different actions that were taking place. I've just highlighted a few here in the images. So there were recycling clubs online, trash hunting. There was sharing about different countries' traditions, what we can do on an individual level, but also on a collective level. There were courses on DIY cosmetics, on consumption patterns. There were also online camps about eco habits. And for example, the project with Eat More Green and Sfera, there for 5 days, 8 participants from Japan, Italy, Taiwan, and Serbia. They listened to lectures on eco-friendly lifestyle, about how to calculate their carbon footprint and obtaining new environmentally friendly habits. The Savoir project in South Africa was a home gardening boot camp, and they focused on environmental and permacultural activities. And there was also other projects from Voltra, which had a Global Hero Action Camp. It's an organization based in Hong Kong, and they give young people a series of social missions in order to work on. Lunaria also have projects focusing on Together Earth. So there were really like many different things going on. Activities went online. In addition to this, there are also international trainings that our members organize. Here, for example, is one from SCI Germany. And at the moment, there's a call for applications. So it's a training for youth workers on sustainable global mobility. And here you can read a bit more about the information. This is also co-funded by the Erasmus Plus program of the European Union. And this is looking at the need to raise awareness and critical reflection on mobility choices related also to climate-friendly projects. And here you have another example of a permaculture design certificate course, which is organized by Gaia Kosovo. And this is a project which is taking place in November. And I see the call was still open if anyone was looking to join that project. And here you have another one which took place in Zimbabwe by ZWA. And it was a project which focused on sustainable food production and working with local farmers in the region. And ZWA also started a centre for learning about sustainable farming techniques. Yeah, after giving you this overview, I wanted to talk to you a bit about where we're going next. So in terms of CCIVS, we've made an application to the cooperation grant, and we're looking to do a global project that goes to the heart of debate around decolonisation and to understand more about continuing forms of neo-colonialism, including climate colonialism. And so the idea is that in the last year, there's been more challenges to travel, includes closed borders, certification systems, green list countries, and this will only continue to exclude more and more people. So we want to look at this, and we also want to look at our programs and how we do them and what their viability is in face of all the challenges that we face today, and also about climate colonialism. And how we focus on that and how we can continue to work and to overcome these issues within our organisation. We're waiting to know whether this project will be funded or not. We also made an application to the EYF work plan, and this is to work on the advocacy, competence and political participation of young activists in the voluntary service movements in the field of climate justice. So we would have trainings on advocacy, focusing on climate justice, and to support and engage young people in this field. And I just wanted to share with you some final words from some young people. We made a video for the NGO UNESCO Liaison Committee's stand, which took place within the UNESCO General Conference 2 years ago. And we asked young people to share their voice in terms of what they wanted to share, the messages with global leaders.
I want my government to ban single-use plastics in supermarkets.
I want my government to pay farmers for the ecosystem services they provide instead of goods.
We're not talking about climate change anymore. We're talking about climate emergency. So please stop discussing and blaming and start to act and change the laws according to our needs and the needs of Mother Earth.
We have to take care of our home, stop deforestation, stop pollution, stop erosion, because there is not other place where we can live.
I'm asking every person, every citizen that's going to look at that video to act now and to try to make a difference, because we all have this power to act and to make a difference for soil protection, for food security, and of course for climate change.
Misnutrition is related with the cost to healthcare system. To reduce the cost and improve that, we have to protect the soil and having a good food and good farming.
I call upon world leaders to respect our planet and listen to the people and do the right things to reduce carbon emission.
Right, so that's all from me. Thank you very much. Here you also have the link to the CCIVS website. You can see a nice photo from our members Nice Japan, and they're working on an environmental project in the mountains. And now, yes, I'll finish the presentation and we can go to questions.